Good morning, this is Debbie with AncestryandTravels.com. I thought I'd come in today and just talk a little bit more about what you do when you first begin doing your family tree. So what we're going to do first is we're going to come into Family Search and go into Records. Now, where you've got your family tree already set up, we're going to go ahead and go into your tree, and you'll notice that I have a pretty good sizable tree. We're just going to play with my mom's side of the family here. So once you've got your family set up and you know what you're doing with them, you're going to want to go in and see what kind of work that you need to get done. I mentioned in another video that if you see this little blue icon here, it means that there's records that you can go and look at. I know because I went in and looked at these. There's some repeat records on school records of my aunts and uncles. So, but a lot of times you'll have some really good sources. So basically, you're going to go into this person, and then you're going to see that they've got research help. So you're going to look and see what kind of records they have available. Oklahoma school records is what it has, and if you'll notice, it's for Lavella, Ardella, Lavella, Richard. These are all my aunts and uncles. So I'm not going to pull those in because I've pulled several of those in, but if you were going to pull them in, you click on it, and then you're going to see it's got my grandfather, and I would attach that record to him because it's his child. Then they don't have my grandma's name on there, so we won't worry about pulling it into her. But this is my uncle Richard McKee. So we go ahead and we add that source and attach it to him. And you would do that with each person. I won't do that right now, like I said, because there's a lot of them. But that's one of the ways that you can find records. Another thing you can do when you go into the person when you're doing this is when it first opens them up, it's going to show you their details. It's going to give you their spouse, their children, his parents. If you wanted to change that, you would click on the woman and then just choose her as the person you want to look at, and then it will change to her parents. But a good rule of thumb is you want to make sure that all the children are brought in, and you do that by going into census records. Another thing that you want to notice is that it'll show that there's 22 sources. So I have a lot of sources on my grandfather, anywhere from his marriage record to, like I say, all the school records. In the 1940 census, they have him named as Stevie instead of Sturley. So a lot of times you have to kind of watch. Also in the 1900s, somebody spelled it as Starley. So his name is Sturley. So you just never know what the names are going to come in. So whenever you do a search, look for names that are like names. Don't be stuck on it being the exact name. Now another way that you can go on search records is you go into the search records, put in their name, and then go ahead and I know he was born in Kansas in 1896. Then go ahead and hit search. Now here it comes up with again the 1936 census, the 1910 census, his draft record for World War II. He actually served in World War I over in France, but that's not showing as one of the records. But I do know that there are records for that because I looked at it. And then also the one for 1900 where it says that his name is Starley McKee, and that's with his parents. So it's going to automatically in 1900. He was only 4 years old in 1900. He was the second born child. Alma was the first, and then Otto Dewey was the second child. So I know this for sure is a census of him because I know this is also his parents. So these are the kind of things you're going to want to look for. You're going to want to make sure that it has the right people listed, that it's really their. You want to make sure it really is them. You don't want to pull a record in and it not being the right people, because that would do you no good, and it would also make it confusing for others if they were coming in and trying to work on that family line. But again, it's my great-grandfather, my great-grandmother, and then their daughter. So it's showing Alma. She's a daughter. She's white. She's a female. She was born in September of 1894. So if you've gone into any of these census records with me before, you can see that this is a little bit different than what you're normally used to. And then in the 1850 census, all they have is their birth, their date, or their age, and then a male or female, and then married or not married, and then just where they were born. In here, you're seeing that it's showing that Shannon was born in Ohio, and both of his parents. It says unknown and unknown. More than likely, they were talking to Lula, his wife, and she didn't know where his parents were born, but both of his parents were also born in Ohio. So the information that you find in the census records are not necessarily completely correct, because whoever they're talking to get that information only knows a certain amount of thing. You'll find that also in death records and a lot of different records. It just that the information that is in it is only as good as the information that the person they're talking to knows. So Lula was born in Kansas, it says, and that both of her parents were born in Iowa. So anyway, that just gives you a little bit more information to look at, so you know that that's a fun and interesting record. You get the actual picture by clicking on the camera. If you just want a synopsis of that one particular person, so that you don't have to open the whole record, it's going to give you this little synopsis here of him, and then who else is in that census. But it's always good to go in and look at the rest of it, because there's a lot of information. It doesn't show where the parents were born in this. There's just more information within the census that you'll want to look at. So that's one way to find some good records. Now, another thing that I have expressed before is that you can go in and do the parents and just do the first name. Now, Lula was spelled Lula or Lulu. So I'm guessing that since they were talking to her, that she's saying that her name is Lula, and that would be a little bit more correct. Okay, then they've got other records that come up when you do that, but none of them look really all that interesting to me for my grandfather. But if there's already a family tree in Family Search, it's going to show you that there are trees that are already built with Sterling in it, and it's going to show what different records are showing up. Now, this record right here didn't come up before, so it's always good to check that. It's showing again the My Pedigree resource file because I've made this file on my grandparents. But it also shows his death record. So, and then also it's showing residence in 1910. But it's also still, both of these are part of his death records. So it's always good to go in and look and see what kind of things are there. I'm not really sure what this is. Let's go see. Okay, so that's just telling you there's other records that come up that might possibly be him, but these are not my grandfather. So that's basically what you would do. That's how you would add a record. Let's say you wanted to add this census record to him, or you want to download it. You can download this record so that you have a copy of it. You're going to save it to your computer, and that's going to give you a copy of that census record, and it's going to go into your download files. So if you're familiar with that, you get a file that you can open and see what files are available on your desktop and so forth. You just go into the download files, and then you can put that in the file that you have for your family, your McKee family, or whatever family yours is. Obviously, mine's McKee. So that's just some ideas of some things that you can do. You can go into the different states and see what kind of state records are in there. He was in Oklahoma, or in Kansas then, but I would say Oklahoma because that's where most of his records would be in, and if I could find the O's. Then you would go and it will show you all the records in the state of Oklahoma that you can look at. Show all 63. So it's going to give you different information. This is where you're going to find your marriage records, their census records, anything that would fit in the state of Oklahoma. You'll notice, sorry, I wanted to show this to you before. You'll notice that the census in Oklahoma didn't start until 1890 because it wasn't a state until then. So that's another thing to know. It kind of helps you know when the state started. So anyway, that's some different things that you can do. You can start going in and looking, seeing if you have any clues on records, and you can download those records. If you're not getting clues but you're finding records, one of the things that you can do is you can go ahead and go in and find the records, and then you can download the records. Then you can go into your family tree, and you can find the person that record belongs to, and you can upload that record to that person. We're getting some slow service here, so I'm not going to be able to show that to you. Oh, here we go, maybe. Okay. So you could go into the person and you can go in and, let's see, memories. See, I've got lots of pictures. This is my grandparents when they got married. Grandpa and his 2 siblings. This is their whole family in Idaho. But another thing you can do is upload a document. Another thing too is you can create a story. If you've got some fun stories about your family that you want to share about a grandparent or someone, just memories that you can remember, which the good thing about this is that you're going to be leaving a legacy for your kids to look at. So you're going to want to make sure that you put as much information there as you can so that your family has that information, because when you're gone, it leaves with you. Same with your parents. If you can get your parents to go in and do stories, or grandparents if they're still here, it's a good time to get those stories in here. The nice thing is this is online, so therefore it is something that's going to be there forever. So you never have to worry about losing it if you go in and put it in and make sure that it's there, because this is all out there in the internet. So if something happened to your computer, at least you've got all your important stuff saved somewhere, either in Family Tree or wherever you, or Family Search, wherever you decide that you want to put that. It's really a good idea because it helps back up your genealogy, and I really like that idea. Anyway, that's all I'm going to go through for today. I hope this helps you a little bit in getting started and doing some more things. Looking at the little hints, like the little record hint. Look at any other hints that are there. You can click on them, left click on them, and it'll tell you what that hint is, and then you can go in and look at it. Anyway, hopefully that helps you and you understand what's going on with that. I hope you have a good day. I'll talk to you again soon. Thank you.